What's up? This is Joe. Welcome to thebiketube.com, and today we're going to be doing a special little video to show you how to turn a crankset that has 2 chain rings or 3 chain rings. We're going to turn it into a single speed crankset because it just looks nicer having 1 ring on there. So first of all, what we need to do this is all sitting on the table right here. So first of all, we can get a zoom in right here. This is a chainring bolt tool. Over here we have a 5mm Allen wrench in this set. Right here we have a file. Here we have a hacksaw, and right here a vise, which is pretty important for this this little segment here. So this is what you need, and last but not least, you need a 2-ring or 3-ring crankset. Alright, so I've got a couple examples here of cranksets that you can turn into a single-speed crankset. So right here we've got the 2-ring. Front you have the 2 chain rings, and they're both bolted to the same hole, which is really nice to turn a single-speed crankset into. So first you take off the front chain ring, and you're left with the bottom. And then here we have so the issue we run into is that after we take off one chain ring, these chain ring bolts, they aren't skinny enough, and they don't clamp the individual chain ring tight enough, and it slides around and it's loose, which doesn't work at all. So what you need to do is pop out all of these guys, all the chain ring bolts, and then what I do is I take the hacksaw and I cut the bolt so it's a shorter length, and then it holds the chain ring on solid. So right now I'll show you how to do that, run through it real quick. So I'm going to grab my 5mm Allen wrench, stick it in each one of these. So they're usually pretty tight, but once you get it off the bike it's easy. And usually you're not going to need the crank bolt tool, because once you get them loose they come out pretty easily. So you're going to unscrew it. Then I always like to put them back together just a little ways and then set them on the table. There we go. Okay, and then I put it right down there. You don't want to lose those. It's important. So let's say you get a real tight chain ring bolt. Then you grab this guy, which fits right in the back, the 2 slots on the back of the bolt. Then you hold it on there, and there we go. And that just holds the bolt in place, and then you can unscrew it. See? The big chain ring's off, and I use the middle chain ring, which is real nice. So this is this guy right here. You want to reuse these chain ring bolts, right? But when you try to bolt it on to the crank arm, they do not screw all the way down. There's too much room because it doesn't have the other chain ring anymore. So it won't get close enough to hold that chain ring in place. You can see that. You can get a zoom on there. So see, there's that little bit of play in there. So what we need to do is cut the chainring bolt. Now you could go on eBay or something and buy some shorter bolts, but they want like 15 bucks. That's ridiculous. Make your own. I'm gonna cut the nut. Alright? I usually grab 2 pieces of wood. You can use anything, any kind of small piece of wood, but it works great because these things aren't flat on both sides, so you want to really get it in there, and the wood helps grab onto it, and then it doesn't scratch it up either. So like so. There we go. Alright, now just want to clamp down on it just like that. So it helps to have something on the other side. So I usually just, there you go. Alright. So now we've got something of similar girth on the other side. And you can kind of adjust the nut, you know. Get it so it's straight. So you can saw it in a straight angle. That's why the wood is nice. You can kind of adjust it. Alright, so now you're going to take your hacksaw, and just go to town. Cut off that end of the bolt. There we go. It's hot, you know, with all that friction this thing gets a little hot, so don't pick it up and hold it like I did. But that's about it. You know, you got to cut off a few millimeters off the end, and then it'll be able to hold your crank tight. So cut that nut. Bingo, bingo, bango. And now this is where you need the file. You can do this while it's in the vise or while it's out, but I like to take off the edges on the sides, just to keep it smooth, you know. Just take it off. All right, and then while it's still in the vise, I like to make sure that it's going to still be able to be screwed into. So you kind of just have to gently let the nut find its way, let the screw find its way, and usually it'll go right in. It doesn't mess with the threading too badly, and usually you can force it in there, and it eventually catches and starts to go in correctly. So I grab the crank arm and the new nut, and I pop it in there. Usually if you file it a little bit, it'll go in nice and easy. And then I take the bolt, grab my wrench, and so this is where it comes in real handy to have this guy crank bolt tool, because obviously you just cut the nut. So you messed up the threading a little bit, so it doesn't go in as smooth as it did before. So you just hold the crank bolt tool on there, and you just screw it all the way in, and bingo, you got your new nut nice and tight, right in there. There you go, holding the chainring nice and tight onto the crank arm, and then you do that for the other four nuts, and you're good to go. Shebang bang. Single speed crank. Done and done.
La, 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 la. Dissonant chord, did you hear that?